Be me, 32 female, doing my thing as an environmental engineer, work mostly with industrial clients on compliance and efficiency projects. I'd say I have a solid grasp of social dynamics. Burned through my early 20s, totally convinced that being male meant life on easy mode, no exceptions. Like genuinely believed this without question. Fast forward to last month. At my cousin's wedding reception in Vermont, seated at table with mostly couples I don't know. One guy there alone sits down next to me. He's pleasant enough, makes small talk about the venue. I'm polite, but not really engaging much. He mentions he's the groom's college roommate, works in logistics. Cool, whatever. Reception goes on, dinner is served. Notice throughout the night that literally every conversation I have, someone else starts it. Bride's aunt asks about my work. Groom's sister compliments my dress and asks where I got it. Even the guy next to me initiated our whole conversation. Champagne is flowing, and I'm getting philosophical. Turn to logistics guy and ask him something that's been on my mind. Do you think men and women experience social pressure differently? He looks at me kind of carefully. In what context? Like, all contexts, I guess. Dating, work, just existing in the world. He takes a sip of his drink. Yeah, definitely differently. Not sure I'd say one has it universally easier though. Here we go. I can feel myself getting ready to explain things. Come on, men clearly have structural advantages in basically every arena. He nods slowly. Sure, there are advantages. There are also things that are harder. Like what? He shifts in his chair. Well, like right now. I initiated our conversation earlier. I've initiated pretty much every interaction I've had today with people I don't know. So, that's just being friendly. Right. But if I didn't do that, I'd have spent the whole reception sitting here alone. Roll my eyes internally, but trying not to show it. That's a bit dramatic. Is it though? Think about it. When's the last time a stranger approached you and started a conversation that you didn't have some hand in inviting? Start to answer, then pause. Actually think about it. Today alone, bride's aunt, groom's sister, him, the bartender, when I was getting a drink, all of them initiated. But that's just today. Surely I initiate plenty of interactions. I start conversations all the time. He's watching me with this neutral expression. With strangers? People you have no prior connection to? Think harder. At work, I talk to clients, but they usually reach out first or we're assigned to them. At the gym, I keep headphones in specifically so people won't bother me. At coffee shops, I order and leave. Grocery store, same thing. Actually, when's the last time I approached a random person and started talking? Can't remember a single instance. The wedding industry wouldn't exist without women initiating plenty. I say, deflecting. He actually laughs. The wedding exists because I guarantee your male cousin initiated asking out his now wife. You don't know that. Want to bet? We can ask them. I don't want to ask them because I actually know he's right. My cousin talked about how nervous he was to approach her at some restaurant opening. Feeling defensive now. Okay, so men approach more in dating. Everyone knows that. It doesn't mean not just dating. Everything. Every friendship I have with another man, I initiated or they initiated, and I reciprocated strongly. Most of my friendships with women, they initiated. That's just your experience. Okay, your experience then. Your friends. Who texted who first? Who suggested hanging out first? Who followed up? Think about my closest friends. Jenna from college, she lived across the hall and knocked on my door to borrow a hairdryer. Sarah, from my old job, she asked if I wanted to grab lunch. My friend from yoga, she complimented my mat and we started talking. My running buddy, she asked if I wanted a partner for a 5K. Even my best friend from childhood, she moved in next door and asked if I wanted to play. Holy shit. Try to think of a single friend I initiated with. There's gotta be someone. What about that girl from the climbing gym? No, wait. She asked me to belay for her. Okay, this is just friendships. Doesn't mean anything bigger. Friendships are different from systemic inequality. He nods again, infuriatingly calm. Sure. But you asked about social pressure. There's intense pressure on men to constantly initiate, constantly risk rejection, constantly be the one extending themselves. Men are socialized to be more assertive. That's not pressure, that's privilege. It's privilege to have to constantly prove your worth by taking action. It's privilege to be socialized in a way that makes you comfortable taking action. He sits back, looks at his drink. Do you really think we're comfortable? Or do you think we're just required to do it anyway? Don't have a great answer for that, he continues. Like, tonight, I knew exactly one person at this wedding. I've spent the whole evening approaching people, introducing myself, asking questions, keeping conversations going. And I'm sure people appreciated it. Maybe. Or maybe they thought I was annoying, too forward, trying too hard. I have no idea. But if I didn't do it, I'd be the weird guy, sitting alone, saying nothing. People would approach you if you seemed open. Would they? Looks directly at me. You've been here for 3 hours. How many people who you didn't already know did you approach? Feel my face getting hot. I'm naturally more introverted. That's fine. You're allowed to be. But I'm probably introverted too. I just don't get the option to express it in social situations. This is bullshit. He's choosing to approach people. Nobody's forcing you to talk to anyone. What do you think happens to men who don't initiate? They have quieter lives. They have no lives, no relationships, no friendships, no connections, nothing. That's absurd. People are naturally social. Women are naturally social with each other and with men who approach them. Men are social with women who respond and with other men who they've approached or who've approached them. I want to argue, but something about this is clicking uncomfortably into place. All those articles I've read about male loneliness always blamed it on toxic masculinity, emotional unavailability. What if it's simpler than that? What if nobody talks to them and they're exhausted from always being the one to try? No, that can't be the whole picture. Men still have advantages in salary, representation, safety. I'm not denying any of that. You asked about social pressure. I'm telling you, there's significant pressure on men to constantly initiate that most women never think about because you've never had to do it. Drain my champagne glass. He's not being aggressive or mean, which somehow makes it worse. If he were being a jerk, I could dismiss this. But he's just explaining something. Something I've literally never considered. So what? I'm supposed to feel bad for men now? He shakes his head. I don't want you to feel bad for anyone. You asked a question, I answered honestly. We sit in silence for a minute. Band is playing, people are dancing. Watch the crowd. See a guy approach a girl and ask her to dance? She says yes. See another guy approach a group and start talking. They make room for him. Groom's dad going around to tables, shaking hands, initiating conversations. Groom himself has been making rounds all night. Bride too. But she's being approached constantly. People coming to her. Like obviously she's the bride. But still, think about every party I've been to. I usually show up, find a spot, wait for things to come to me. And they do. People bring conversations to me. Never really thought about it. Always assumed I was. Just naturally social enough that people wanted to talk to me. What if it's just that people, men specifically, are doing all the work? Look back at logistics guy. Do women really never initiate? Some do, sure, but it's like maybe 1% of the time, 5%, if I'm being very generous. That number sounds made up. 99%? Come on. Think about the last 10 conversations you had with people you didn't already know well. How many did you start? Actually count in my head. Today. 0 for 0. This week at work, client called me, contractor emailed me, co-worker stopped by my desk. Weekend, barista greeted me. Guy at farmer's market offered samples. Woman at bookstore asked if I needed help. Week before. All work stuff, all incoming. Month before. Keep going back. Genuinely cannot find examples. Sure, I respond, I'm friendly. I contribute to conversations. But starting them? Walking up to a stranger and just, beginning an interaction? Never. Not once. Feels something like vertigo. I guess I never thought about it because I've never needed to. He nods. Exactly. and that's fine. Genuinely. But it does mean you've never experienced that pressure. The pressure to risk rejection constantly. That, and the pressure of knowing that if you don't do it, nothing happens. Nobody comes to you. You're just alone. Remember this guy I went on a few dates with years ago? Got annoyed at him for always being the one to text first, always planning dates. Thought it meant he was too eager, kind of desperate. Broke it off because I wanted someone more balanced. More balanced, meaning what exactly? Meaning, I wanted someone who'd pursue me, but somehow not seem like they were trying. The contradiction is suddenly very obvious. Oh my God. Say it out loud without meaning to. What? I'm realizing some things. He waits. I've definitely judged men for trying too hard when they initiate, but also for not initiating enough. Yeah, that's pretty common. That's insane though. That's an impossible standard, he shrugs. It is what it is. No, but it's not fair. He looks amused now. You're just now arriving at, it's not fair? Feel incredibly stupid. Also kind of angry, but not at him. At myself maybe. At the fact that I've gone 32 years without questioning this. So you're saying men have to do all this invisible work of initiating and maintaining social connections and nobody acknowledges it? I'm saying it's not invisible to us. We're very aware of it. But yes, it seems to be invisible to most women. And we just, benefit from it without noticing? Generally, yeah. This feels like when I learned about all the household labor women do that men don't notice. Except reversed. Except somehow, I never considered there could be a reverse. Mind is racing now. Think about my last relationship. He asked me out. He planned most dates. He initiated most conversations. I definitely complained that he was. Low effort, though, because he didn't plan elaborate enough dates, even though he was planning all of them, while I planned 0. And somehow I thought I was being reasonable. I think I've been really unfair. Logistics guy looks surprised. In relationships, I mean. And friendships. And just existing. I don't know your life. No, but you're right. I've never once thought about this. I've gone my whole life just expecting people to come to me. It's worked out for you so far. But it's not. I mean, I consider myself someone who thinks about equity and fairness. Sure. But I've completely ignored this entire dimension of unfairness. Most people ignore what doesn't affect them. He's being too nice about this. I don't deserve nice right now. I need you to be more direct with me. Have I been an asshole in this conversation? He considers. No. You've been defensive and dismissive at points. But you're also listening and reconsidering. That's more than most people do. I literally rolled my eyes at you. I saw. And you just kept talking to me anyway. Yeah. Why? He looks confused by the question. Because we were having a conversation? But I was being rude. Little bit, yeah. So why continue? What else would I do? Get up and leave? I might have if someone rolled their eyes at me. Okay. Sit with that. He absorbed my rudeness and just continued engaging. How many times has that happened with men in my life? How many times have I been dismissive, or cold, or rude, and they just persisted in trying to connect anyway? How many times have I prided myself on not suffering fools, when really I just meant I didn't have to work for social connection? This is really humbling. Didn't mean to humble you. No, I needed it. This is important. Watch the reception continue. Really watch it this time. Men moving through the crowd, shaking hands, starting conversations, women clustered in groups, talking among themselves, being approached, not universally, but as a pattern, yeah. It's right there. Always has been. Just never saw it. Can I ask you something else? He nods. Why don't men talk about this more? Like, this seems like a big deal. Who would we talk to? I don't know. Everyone? Women? Each other? We talk to each other about it sometimes, but talking to women about it usually goes nowhere. What do you mean? I mean, most women react the way you initially did. Defensive, dismissive, men have it easy, try being a woman, etc. So you just don't bring it up? What would be the point? Feel a weird guilt spreading through my chest. The point would be that it's unfair and people should know. People don't want to know things that complicate their worldview. Oof. Direct hit. He's describing exactly what I was doing 20 minutes ago. I'm sorry. For what? For being part of the problem, I guess. For never thinking about this. For benefiting from all this labor and never appreciating it. He waves it off. You didn't know. Now you do. But that's not good enough. Like, I've probably made men in my life feel like shit for trying to connect with me. Probably. Definitely. Oh God. Definitely. Think about every dating app match who messaged first, and I ignored. Every guy at a party who tried to start a conversation, and I gave one-word answers to. Every coworker who invited me to lunch, and I said I was too busy. Just assuming they'd keep trying. Assuming everyone would keep trying. Because in my experience, they always did. Because I never had to be on the other side. How do you not hate us? He laughs. Hate who? Women? Because of social dynamics? Yeah, that would be exhausting. Plus, it's not like it's a conspiracy. It's just how things developed. But it's unfair to you. Lots of things are unfair. You mentioned salary gaps and representation earlier. Those are real. This is also real. Multiple things can be true. Novel concept.png. Except, it's not novel. It's obvious. I've just been completely blind to half the equation. We sit there for another few minutes. I'm trying to process everything. Also trying not to cry at a wedding like a psycho. But honestly feeling pretty emotional. My entire framework for understanding social dynamics is crumbling. Not entirely, but significantly. All these assumptions I had about men just having it easier, being more privileged in every way. They have it easier in some ways, harder in others. Just like he said. Revolutionary thought, apparently. What are you going to do with this information? He asks it gently. Look at him. I don't know. Be better? Try to initiate more? Actually appreciate the effort people put in? Those all sound good. I feel like I owe apologies to, every man I've ever known. Maybe just move forward differently. I've been so smug. He doesn't disagree. Can't even blame him. I literally tell people I'm aware of systemic inequalities and power dynamics. You probably are aware of many of them. But I missed this huge one because it benefited me. That's usually how it works. God, he's right. That's exactly how it works. How many times have I pointed out men missing things that benefit them? And here I am, doing the exact same thing. Thank you for being patient with me. You're welcome. I mean it. You could have just written me off as a lost cause. You asked a genuine question, I gave a genuine answer. You're the one who chose to actually listen. We end up talking for another hour. He tells me about his experience with dating apps, how he sends dozens of messages and maybe gets one response. Tells me about trying to make friends in a new city, how he had to join groups and initiate with everyone. Tells me about his brother who's shy and has basically no social life because he can't bring himself to constantly approach people. I share some experiences too, but mostly I listen. Really listen. For maybe the first time in my life on this topic. Reception winds down. People start leaving. Exchange numbers. He says we should continue the conversation sometime. I agree, then realize. He initiated that too. Laugh and tell him why I'm laughing. He grins. Want to initiate our next conversation then? Yeah, I do actually. Drive home that night completely lost in thought. Get back to my apartment and just sit in my car for 20 minutes. Thinking about every interaction I've had, every relationship, every friendship, all built on labor I never acknowledged. Never even saw. Feel profoundly humbled. Also angry at myself. Also grateful to logistics guy for being honest. Spend the next few days hyper-aware of every interaction. Barista greets me. He initiated. Coworker asks about my weekend. She initiated. Client emails about a project. He initiated. Old friend texts to catch up. She initiated. Start counting. In 4 days, I initiate exactly 2 conversations. One with my mum, which honestly she probably doesn't count. One with a coworker about a project we're both already on. That's it. 2. Meanwhile, I have probably 40 interactions that others started. The ratio is insane. Decide to run an experiment. For 1 full week, I will only have conversations I initiate. Nobody approaches me. I don't respond beyond basic politeness. I want to see what happens. Monday. Barely talk to anyone. Eat lunch alone. Leave work without chatting. Tuesday. Same. Starting to feel isolated. Wednesday. The loneliness is real. Force myself to approach someone at the gym. It's terrifying. Thursday. Try to start a conversation with a coworker in the kitchen. It goes okay, but I feel so awkward. Friday. Approach someone at a coffee shop. They look confused and excuse themselves. Weekend. Text 3 friends to make plans. 2 don't respond. 1 says she's busy. By Sunday, I'm nearly crying. 1 week. 1 week of what men do constantly. And I'm devastated. Text logistics guy. You were right about everything and I'm having a crisis. He calls me. We talk for 2 hours. I'm apologizing profusely. He's laughing, not meanly, just finding my shock amusing. It's really that hard? He asks. It's horrible. I feel so vulnerable and rejected and alone. Yeah. And you just live like this? Pretty much. I want to apologize on behalf of all women. Don't. Just maybe mention it to your friends sometime. That week changed everything for me. Start actively initiating conversations. It's uncomfortable at first, then gets easier. Start planning hangouts with friends instead of waiting to be invited. Start messaging first in dating apps. Start being the one to approach people at parties. The rejection rate is staggering. Most people are polite but uninterested. Some people are just rude. Now understand why men sometimes seem jaded or defensive. They're dealing with constant rejection, constant pressure to perform, constant work just to maintain basic human connection. And we've been completely oblivious. I've been completely oblivious. Couple months later, at a party, approach a group of women I sort of know. Start telling them about what I learned, about the initiation gap, the invisible labor, all of it. They look skeptical. One literally rolls her eyes. Men have plenty of advantages. They can handle approaching first. See myself from 2 months ago. Try to explain. They're not interested. One says, I'm centering men's feelings. Another says, I've internalized the patriarchy. Leave the conversation feeling defeated, but also more convinced than ever that this matters. Text logistics guy again. Tried to explain the initiation thing to some friends. Went poorly. Told you. How do you deal with people just not caring? I usually don't tell people, but doesn't it bother you? Of course, but what's the alternative? Think about that a lot. He's just living with this unfairness because pointing it out gets him nowhere. How many other things are men dealing with that they just don't talk about? Because nobody wants to hear it. Because it complicates the narrative. Spend a lot of time over the next few months really examining my beliefs. Not abandoning my principles about equality and fairness, but expanding them. Understanding that inequality runs in multiple directions, that men and women both face unique pressures and challenges. That maybe, just maybe, I don't have everything figured out. Most humbling realization of my life. I built an entire identity around being aware and informed. And I was completely blind to something right in front of me. Something affecting half the population constantly. Because acknowledging it would mean admitting I benefited from an unfair system. Same thing I criticize men for doing. The irony is almost funny. Almost. Still working on being better. Still initiating more. Appreciating more. Noticing more. Still facing resistance when I bring it up to other women. But at least now I know. At least now I see it. And I can never unsee it. Man, at a wedding, completely changed my perspective. By just being honest. By just answering a question I thought I already knew the answer to. Grateful for it. Humiliated by how long it took. But grateful